example using the particles we were talking about?
Positive.
So what's the name of the positive particle?
Proton.
Proton. And
Proton.
yeah, a proton and a proton will repel. What's one more example? An electron and an electron. Now, notice that Markel did not use what kind of particle? A neutron. Because what charge do we say neutrons have? They're neutral. So if they're neutral, can they attract or repel? No, they have no charge, so they will not attract, they will not repel, they can't be used at all for either of those two things. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Does everybody have it? I was just checking to see what was next. All right, so let's review for just a second. And then we're going to move on to static electricity, which is where the lab comes from. So while y'all do this, I'm going to grab and pull out the stuff we need, except I'm going to be very smooth because I'm going to get sick.
Oh my God.
And I need to pull some stuff out of the cabinet that you're sitting in front of.
That's what my name is. That's what's fancy.
Something.
It was given to me.
Why? Is that?
Yes. And the Black Panther.
All right. Find me some answers real quick.
The atom is the smallest part of a what?
Oh, no.
Yep. They can exist.
What?
They can exist or what? Smallest part of an atom that can exist
What's
by itself or alone.
Wait, an atom is the smallest part of a what though?
an element?
Of an element.
That can exist alone.
You know? That's not enough room with that one. You said of an element?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Can I call it number one tongue?
No.
Why?
I ain't even get it in your.
Okay.
All right, done?
No.
Yeah.
I wasn't even paying attention. I thought he was gonna give us like 1 time to do
Electric.
it.
I think I just broke it. Oh, well, maybe I didn't then. Stepped on it, so I can't promise it's not broken.
Wait, what? A basic property.
Yeah, starts with C.
I knew you were gonna do that. Conversation.
Yep.
What number?
But what's the first on the electron?
Authorizing partial charge.
Yes.
What?
The electric field when you skip it. I'm going to talk about that one in a minute.
What about this? A. When did we talk about this? Push pull.
Fully.
When did we talk about this?
You said
What
four.
about which one?
I don't know that.
What about which one, Mark out?
5.
5? That's what I said. Oh, you know that one. Push or pull?
I thought you wanted something from the alley.
No, we talked about that one. That's a review question. But when you put those positives and negatives together, what happens? N stands for neutral.
Wait, AC. Which ones to put? Oh, we put R and number.
Like the help, track, or nothing.
We put R. Hey.
But last night, I was talking to my mom. I told her I was in the movie. And she was like, you can't get one. I was like, but if I did get one, you still love me the same. And she was like, yeah. It's like, okay, then I'm getting one.
Wait, so neutrons on propel
Or track.
from themselves?
They have no charge, they can't do it.
Okay. She said, only one person's doing it.
They're back. They're gonna get back.
You're gonna call her back. I can do it. You told me I can't do it.
I got some water.
Yes,
you can. It's a free country. America.
You get water. Jose, you can get water. Like the Sorry about that. Number 2. You gotta know. I can't tell if these are hairs in my mouth. They're like, got it. Yeah.
Be right for me.
That's why you got a tattoo. I'm scared.
In the hair
Just
around.
use it.
How am I supposed to tell that far away?
For right now.
We ain't got
Just put your hair back.
So when you look at spaz out, the doctor.
I can do it, but I can't look at it. Now, my son is 13 and he still gets a shock like this.
Juice that's gone.
No, when I was a little kid.
I literally jabbed
I have
because it's a moving target all the time.
Just-
26 seconds.
No, they got to hold you down.
Trying to fake you out the whole time.
We gotta hold you down. Well,
They had
I
me down
don't
one
think
time.
Nah, they still
Yeah,
got.
I know, I saw that, bro. I snapped. I told them let me breathe for a second. They're like, no, man, let me breathe. No, I'm like, you know,
Yeah, they got colors.
like that, you think?
They do.
The big.
Oh, those are real.
They do like the finger prick thing.
No, I never seen that.
And then the lady up there,
Like they got like a blunt or something they put on.
and they take it away. It's supposed to
Maybe I'm just.
When they bring it in, I try not to look at it, but then when I look at it, my brain goes somewhere else.
He did well the last time.
Last time.
I made him spell something and look at a picture and do something really weird. He was concentrating so hard on what they had him doing, he didn't realize they were in the shop.
They should be feel that.
But short of that, he cannot sit still and he's a moving target the entire time,
Last
dancing on the table until they literally chat.
One time, like they told me to breathe, right?
Put it off.
The needle almost got stuck.
I believe it.
I was
Come on. All right, let's look at number 1. Now, we all talked about the definition for that a minute ago, so we should be fine with that. But it should say something about the smallest part of an element. All right? Now, remember, it has to be able to exist alone. Because if you divide it down further, is it still an atom? No, you'd be a proton, a neutron, or an electron, right, Tyler?
Is anything smaller than
Why do you think I called on you?
I got carried away, my bad.
All right. Number 2, protons and what?
Electron.
Neutrons are found in the nucleus. Okay?
What?
Protons and neutrons are found in the nucleus. All right, number 3. Electrons are found where?
In the E-cloud.
In the electron cloud. Protons and electrons have a basic property called charge. Both of them have a positive or a negative charge, so they have a charge. Now, 5 was a review question. What's any push or pull?
A horse.
A force. All right. So an electric field, I told you I'd talk about. So an electric field is an area where electric forces are felt. Now, this will make more sense when we do the next unit on magnets, because the best way I can explain this is with magnets more so than with electricity. Have you ever played with magnets and you put your magnets together and you can feel them sort of pulling each other together or pushing each other apart?
Yeah.
All right, those are magnetic forces, and the definition for a magnetic field is the same thing, except it's an area where magnet forces are felt. Okay, so if you get close enough to like a high voltage wire,
Like the little things that go, like tall buildings.
Yeah. and you get particularly something that has a high voltage current passing through it,
Like
if you get close enough to it, you can feel the electric current coming off of that, and it's a little powerful. All right, nothing here like with this type of electrical current is going to be powerful enough. You put your hands there, you're not going to feel any electricity because there's just not enough voltage coming through that. Okay, but if you were near something that had, for example, with electric current running through this cord, there's actually enough current running through that it would cause a magnet, which is a compass, a magnetic field on a compass, to actually cause the needle to move. That would be an electric field. Okay? Yeah.
so if we run out of natural resources, right?
Yeah.
And like car, no gasoline, why can't we just use electric cars?
You can, but you have to have a way to recharge the electric cars. As long as you have a way to do that, you can use electric cars. The downfall to electric cars is they generally don't go very far. For example, Dr. Phillips used to teach her, his wife has an electric car. It was a Prius. And I asked him, I said, well, how does it work? I mean, how far can you go? He said, generally speaking, about 60 miles, you can go on the electricity and then the gas kicks in. So as long as you're only going about 60 miles, his electric car was fine. But let's say they wanted to go down to Campbell to see their daughter, they couldn't do it all on electricity. They'd have to find a place to stop and recharge the car before they could keep going.
They should make extra batteries.
Those are expensive. And the battery in the car was good for only so many years before that would have to be replaced. So how much does that cost? He said, about $3 to $5 grand.
Right?
Oh, what's up with it, bro?
I was like,
It's like,
it was expensive.
it's expensive.
It's not an electric car.
I
I was like, I think I'll just stick with my good old internal combustion engine and buy gas.
Right, bro. That IC
Yeah. So, I mean, there are pluses to it, and you get tax breaks for buying things that, you know, are good for the environment, but at the same time, they're just expensive.
Really?
So, like when Mr. Wade, who was a social studies teacher here several years ago, he built a new house, and he put in geothermal heating and air and all that, and so they dug the lines, they put in all this stuff to do geothermal heating and all that. I can't remember what it cost, but I think it was like 20 grand or something to put all that stuff in, and he got a huge tax break for it. But it was a huge expenditure up front to put all that stuff in. So, I mean, it's great if you're willing to.
What's it called?
Hey.
Geothermal heat.
You work here?
Now, he did for a few years. He's been gone now probably,
Wait, who?
best guess is 4 or 5.
Who?
Mr. Wade is a social studies teacher. Okay? Now, the bottom ones. They had circles, and you have little pluses and little minuses. Okay? And I want to know if they attract or repelled. So, in A and C, what did you get? Repel. B and E, you should have had nothing because they will not do anything with a neutron. B and E is nothing because it had a neutron. All right, C and D, attract. A and D, attract. E and F, nothing. And B and D, repel. Everybody go to that? Fabulous. All right, let's talk about static electricity. All right, so today and tomorrow's lab are both in the unit of static electricity. Okay, so what is static electricity? One definition we can use is a build-up of charge. Okay, a lot of textbooks like to use that definition, a buildup of charge, and there's nothing wrong with it. I use it a lot too, particularly tomorrow when we're making static electricity because it works really well. All right, I also like to use the one that is a transfer of electrons from one object to another. if, let's say, I rub my feet on the carpet because I've been walking on it, and I've got on rubber sole tennis shoes, all right? And I reach over and I touch Barkel and I shock him, okay? You've all done it at your house, done it to your parents, younger brothers and sisters, and you did it to yourself, okay? You have built up static electricity on your shoes, okay? And you have transferred it from yourself to another person.
Wait.
Okay?
So you know when you going on the slide, right?
Static electricity. Okay? And that's a method of charging we're going to talk about. See how up there it says static electricity charging notes? It's one of the methods. It's number 3. Okay? It's not going to be one of the first ones though. It's going to be the second type of charging.
If energy is never created or destroyed, then, like, is there a way to find out how much energy the water has?
Not that I know of.
But they can't do that, right? Since it's always the same.
Maybe. I have no idea.
I'm about to do that.
All right. What does the word static mean?
Static.
Stationary, still. Okay? All right. Static comes from the root word stationary, which means basically it's not moving. So why do we call it static electricity? All right. We call it static electricity because it moves from one object to another and stops. Now, I point this out because since we're doing electricity, we're going to study 2 types. We're going to do static electricity and we're going to do current. Okay? Static electricity would be like I rub my feet on the floor and I touch Markel and I shock him. Okay? That's static electricity. My electrons move to Markel and shock him and they stop. He can't then reach over and touch Urelli and shock Urelli, and Urelli touch Nigella and shock Nigella. Okay? Static electricity doesn't work that way. Now, current does. So let's say that there's water on the floor. Okay, let's say that Markel threw water on the floor yesterday. And then we had an electrical current on the floor. Now, if Diavion was laying in the electrical current, and then she touched somebody, and they touched somebody, that electrical current could run through everybody. Okay? Static electricity does not work like current.
So that's why when keep the radio in there.
Yes. Okay, that's current.
What?
But, like, when you put it.
Oh, that happens.
Okay, that's current. But static electricity, once you touch somebody, they stop. All right. I don't need that. All right, so what is the law of conservation of charge? Okay, take the word energy out and substitute in the first word of charge. 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 Yeah, keep going. All right. Is never lost or gained. It is transferred.
Conservation.
Okay? It is never lost or gained. It is transferred. So,
Charge is not never lost.
is it's always a critic.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Fix my grammar. I got it.
no, I never lost.
I smell a lot of caffeine right now.
So maybe we do need this. Let's say
When you done right.
Ugly carpet.
Please go back.
What is that? That's an ugly
That's a
carpet.
foot.
No, that's like a sock
Oh, see, no.
with like hair on it.
I was gonna try to draw a shoe, but we can work with the sock. Here, I get rid of it. Sock. I can work with it looking like a sock.
Wait, before you start drawing again.
Okay. Did you want me to go back? I thought I'd give you enough time. Clearly not.
You be moving too fast.
I thought I'd give you enough time. All right, have I given you enough time now? All right, so I got a carpet with a sock on. All right, so when you rub your foot on it, what happens to create the static electricity? Leak, you awake? Goes water. All right, so what happens to create the static electricity?
What is that?
You move.
Okay? All right, the sock rubs the carpet. All right, the sock builds up all these electrons. Okay? So, the sock gains electrons, and the carpet loses the electrons. Okay? That's why we talked about the law of conservation of charge. Somebody's going to gain, somebody's going to lose. All right? Does that make sense? So, we're going to talk about what charge these end up with. One of them is going to wind up with a positive charge, and one of them is going to end up with a negative charge.
The carpet going to go positive. Oh, stop doing it with me.
Correct. All right, have I waited long enough, or am I still waiting? It's up to you. I don't care. I've just got people writing, so I didn't want to go too fast. Can I go, or do I need to wait? Okay, so now if we lose an electron, like the carpet did, the carpet lost the electron, right? So what charge are we going to have if we lose an electron? Nope. We will be positive. Now, why will we be positive? We will have more protons and less electrons. And the E with a minus is the symbol I will use for electrons this whole semester. Should be thankful.
No, because remember at the beginning of the semester you were yelling at us for being so quiet?
Right. Now I came along and like you didn't yell at me because I don't even remember that.
Because you were there.
Teaching's a hard job.
All right.
I just realized how complicated it is to come up with like a schedule and then to present notes and explain it.
No, it's notes without a schedule. It actually is hard.
Like, you guys have to organize a lot of stuff. That's crazy.
So if we gain an electron, what charge are we going to have if we gain one? Okay, if we gain one, we're going to be negative. And it's for the exact same reason that we would have been positive, okay? Because this time we have more electrons and less protons, okay? So if you gain electrons, you have more electrons. So what charge do electrons have? They're negative, okay? So if you gain electrons and electrons are negative, that's why it's a negative charge. Does that make sense to anybody besides me? Okay. Now, the last thing I put up here is what particle is never, ever lost. That's not a bad guess. It's protons. Okay?
I was that first, but then
Protons are never lost. Because if you lose a proton, you change the identity of the element.
wait, you losing this one?
You can. Usually that happens in nuclear reactions, which we'll talk about way at the end of the semester. I can see you feel better. I hear it too.
I honestly do feel better. Like, I have energy.
Okay.
Oh,
You just don't sound any better. Did you go to the doctor?
No.
Oh, okay.
She's sticking it out.
What goes the doctors?
Sticking it in.
I was just curious.
No, because my
So then
parents
we'll
don't
give you a
get
shot.
like they get paid every other week.
That's fine. I was just asking.
Yeah.
You do the shot.
Huh?
Who was the doctor? It was a shot. You guys, vaccine.
All right. Does everybody have what they need? Yes. You're a problem child. You know that. Problem child. I was just looking to see where I was at.
I wasn't shaking on. I was in there.
Oh, I was going to lose.
They didn't do that. She didn't do that.
That's what she said.
That's what they're supposed to do. I should have said anything. I did better than you did. And I finished faster than you.
All right. Got it, you really? All right. So this is what our two labs are on today and tomorrow. It's on the methods of charging. All right. So the first one we're going to talk about is conduction. And this is sort of review from something we already worked on. All right. So we did the three methods of heat transfer in the last unit. What were the three methods of heat transfer? Conduction, convection, and radiation. So one of these is the same, and that is conduction. So what is conduction again?
It's heat by it like touching.
That's right. All right. So here, this is going to be the transfer of electrons by direct contact. Again, I have to touch. Now, notice I said transfer of electrons. I didn't put transfer of heat. I said electrons. Because this time we're talking about electricity, not heat. All right, so I changed the definition up just a little bit. Uh-huh.
Just have calculator.
Do Formula, but not today or tomorrow. And after we do these two, there's only one left, and it's in waves.
Thank you, Miss Long.
No problem.
Have crack.
I think last one. Let me go trash one.
I did not see that trash can. I was not paying attention.
Now, what are some things that you remember from heat that would conduct, that would you think would be really good at conducting electricity to? Huh? Mm-hmm. What are some things that when we talked about conducting heat, you think would conduct electricity really well too?
Copper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you talking about like that? Oh.
What is copper? Give me another one.
Silver. Is aluminum a conductor?
So metal.
So basically,
Put food in it, it stays hot on the inside, but it doesn't.
It's just like.
okay, basically all metals are conductors, okay? So, anything that's a metal, electrons move through very easily. Okay? Anything that's a metal, the electrons are able to move through very easily. Now, I probably have it on the next board. What's the opposite of conductors or conduction? An insulator. Okay? So, what does an insulator do?
Stops.
They move.
Okay, it stops or slows the electricity. I gotta wait on you really to catch up, and then we can write that down. What? I don't know. It's like you're trying to show me something. You there, you really? No, Jay is still writing too. I'm just looking to see where I'm at. I'm going back.
I didn't say anything. Go ahead. Okay.
Okay. So, if you don't need this, I already wrote that. So we just need what's an insulator. What did we just say it was? All right. It slows or stops the flow of what? Of electrons. Now, you can say heat too, and I'll put it in parentheses, but what are we talking about in this unit? We're talking about electrons in this unit. We're talking about electricity. Okay? Now, Jaya just told us what kind of things were insulators. What did she say? Non-metals. Okay? So non-metals make good insulators. And I think that's all I needed for the first lab. Yep, it is. Here's the sausage you've been writing. And everybody with us. What are you doing?
Chips or something?
Nope, no chips or nothing. Oh, I forgot the other stuff.
This lab?
Yeah.
Everybody good?
In a minute. Because odds are good that somebody has lost. Some sugar was supposed to be in the bag. You don't have to ask me for replacements. Can there be an all 10 objects back in the bag?
What?
All right, did everybody get a lab sheet? All right, so when you do the lab, you need 3 things. 4 things. You need a light bulb, a wire, a battery, and a bag. So we need to talk about the bag because every year I do this. And every year when we finish the lab, I tell people to put all 10 objects back in the bag. And every year we go to do the lab the next time, and people do not have all 10 objects in the bag. So we need to walk through the bag and make sure you know what objects you're supposed to have. So when you get a bag and you're missing something, you know what to ask me for. Because odds are good, at least 1 or 2 of you will not have all 10 objects in the bag. Okay? Now, you're going to take a battery and a wire. You are not going to get shocked by putting them on the battery, you do need to check to make sure the bulb works. The worst that's going to happen is the wire is going to poke you. You need to make sure the light bulb comes on. Okay? Okay? If the light bulb doesn't come on, it means the light bulb's dead or the battery's dead. Odds are good that the light's broke, not the battery's dead. These are relatively new batteries. Okay? If you don't want to get poked, take the wires and sort of pull them down straight, because these were twisted the last time we used them to make circuits. And this lab that we will do, not today's and tomorrow's, but the next one is a circuit lab. And you have to make a functioning circuit. It's the only one we'll do that's a performance lab, because if you can't get your circuit to work, you cannot get 60 points of your lab grade. All right. So if I dump out our 10 objects, all right, this is a piece of rubber. Sorry, rubber. Cork. All right. So you should have cork. This is a piece of cardboard. Yours might not be blue, but you should have a piece of cardboard. What's this? Foil, aluminum foil. What's this one? Penny? All right, this is a rubber stopper that I was holding up a minute ago and said it was rubber, but it was cork. That's rubber. The black one is rubber. All right. This is a hunk of wood. It's called a wood splint, but you can just say wood. All right. This is a piece of styrofoam. This is a paper clip that somebody stretched out. But that's a paper clip.
Is it supposed to be like that?
No, it was supposed to be a real paper clip. Okay? It's supposed to be a paper clip. So, throw that one away. Yep. Put a real paper clip in the bag. All right, this is supposed to be what? Anybody know? It's copper wire. Some of you will have real copper wire, and some of you will have that real thin copper wire. Oh, this one actually has both. There's the other copper wire. And then this last one is the one that most people tend to lose. This little pellet we used way back when. It's called zinc. Yep, it looks, and this bag actually had everything. All right, zinc is the last one. Okay, so when you finish, if you can, put all 10 things back in the bag and seal the bag so we don't lose them. Okay, odds are good. Not all of you will have all 10 objects. So when you're missing something, let me know so we can fill your bag with what you're missing. Okay, now, what you're supposed to do is take your battery with your light bulb and your wire. You're going to hold it. Usually it works best if one partner holds it. The other partner, let's just say it's Markel, and he takes the two wires, and he touches them. So he's touching
Michael get shot?
No. Yeah. So yeah, you can tell if the light bulb lights, the light coming on. Now he's going to touch it with the pencil. Touch it with the pencil. Now, make sure the wires are not touching each other.
I remember that.
And did they come on?
Yes.
So what does he know about the pencil? Is it a conductor or an insulator? It's an insulator because the light bulb didn't come on. Okay, you're going to do that with all 10 objects in the bag. Okay? Really?
Ain't none of those.
Now, since you were my handy helper and passed everything out, here are your supplies. Okay? Now,
I was just a demonstrator.
yeah, no, she walked around the work.
So,
All right. You have 25 minutes. That should be ample time to do this because it should take us about 15. So keep going.
40 minutes, guys. It's gonna mess up with me, Paul. I'm trying to pass out papers for you.
Well, then tomorrow when I hand out stuff, maybe I'll let you have the supplies. You do not need to unplug your phone and take it with you. Put it up.
There's my charger.
So let me have that box. Any other spot you want, but I need to staple all these stupid papers together. Because I've done fourth period.
Stupid papers together.
Everybody got a partner or somebody to work with?
Hey, let's go.
It's not her name.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay. So, copper. I mean copper. Or what's the cord? Oh, this cord. What is? I'm SpongeBob. And how do we use it? Okay, so.
Mario, what's wrong?
I need a copper wire.
Huh?
Copper wire. That.
How does that work? How she did that? Where did she?
This wall, you said we have to have.
I'll work with the aluminum. Here, put it here.
Anybody else missing something?
Can you come help though?
What? What's wrong?
Oh my god. Look at that sound.
Oh, we got the thing.
Do the black thingy.
Yes, the score.
We got the thing.
Do the black thingy. How do we do this, Miss Law?
What's wrong? Where's the other wire?
What?
No.
I want to see how it looks when you connect it to the 40.
No, you need a wire. Like a,
Miss Law, are we doing this right? We gotta read this. Oh, maybe we can warm it up. Put it in my ear.
there's another plastic bag back there. Y'all need one of these. So this one's in.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4.
This in. Lightning works, that's good. Now, whoever's holding this.
Use a piece of Christmas
Wire
tree
there.
light wire, blah, blah, blah. It's like
This
every
wire.
battery.
Basically, you gotta be able to get this wire on the copper wire and this wire on the copper wire. So you
Use a
can
piece
check
of
to see.
Christmas tree
So,
light
when you hold that,
wire, like order the every battery. You gotta get a longer one because that's not gonna make it to that. Touch the wire with
Okay.
A and
Just make
B
sure it works.
together to make sure
Yep, it
the
does.
bolt
All right,
light.
so. Well, I know, but now we transferred it to make sure that she's got
We need to
it
get another
right.
light.
So one there and one here. Did the bulb come on? So where's it going?
This is love.
What exactly is this?
Copper wire. So the electrons are moving through the wires. It gets from here to here. Yeah.
Yes.
Close down. I'll go up there and pull the trash can close in.
Doing something now. This.
Can I use your pencil real quick?
Yeah. I thought it came on my
I need some water.
On theirs it said that the penny worked. Penny, yeah. I was being camera. The next class next year gonna look at me like,
No, I'm see me.
how did it work?
That makes you happy, yes.
Oh my God.
Mate.
You guys, you gotta
This wall,
Yeah.
our stuff is broken.
I was broken about it.
F is working.
All right, hang on. I'll be there in a second.
I have powers.
Yeah.
Ow.
Touchy.
Anyways, you gotta put the penny like this.
It won't work with the damn penny.
Yes, it will.
Why can't you just put it like that?
Hold it right here.
That's one here. That's on the other end.
You don't have to.
Yeah, don't let the wires come in.
What did y'all do?
You're
supposed to hook
Oh, I didn't hook it up. I got it from the back. See, now it's not
You gotta put it in the middle with
All right, so what are you two yapping about?
I don't know. Dude.
Alright, where's the other side? Where's the other side?
Suck.
Do it.
What?
Do this.
All right, get this in here. Stop playing with my wire.
Okay.
Where's your other wire?
They tore it out. See, they tore it apart.
You're
Mario
not
tore it apart.
taping it.
And then you.
Put that there and that there, and you check to see if the light comes on. Let's see if the light works, first of all. It does. All right, so.
It does come on. We tried. Yeah.
I don't see anything.
It's right there.
Oh.
She's I don't see it.
Yes. Okay. It's because we didn't have a different part in our first one.
But we didn't try with this one.
Oh, I am. I'm just gonna put yes for
Okay.
it.
Did the bolt? Did you like?
So that means it's a conductor.
Yeah.
Ow! You really stuck in my skin. It was stuck in my skin.
What?
This part. It's hurt. It was just sitting out there.
I'll do this one.
Okay. Wait. Okay, kids. You really? That's not even
Oh.
like. I told you it sticks. And get that part. And then
Wait,
it's already. Oh, it's because
Repeat that. No.
Wait.
No.
Hey.
No. No. So it's an insulator.
Yeah. Okay, let me connect myself. Okay, let me see the cardboard, please.
we're done.
I was like, do we have two cardboard? Okay. Yeah.
Oh no.
It is.
No, because they put the cardboard in the middle. You're connecting the wire.
Oh,
You gotta put
it's
it in
still
the
doing it
middle.
though, without the middle. See? You really get your finger. Like maybe my finger's sensitive. I just wanted to like it's not gonna work.
That was it. No.
You know, y'all doing all the extra work, right?
What?
Shut up. I'm trying to have fun.
Where's
So
all
rather goes back in a separate container. As do the lights and the wires. Green wire and green light bulb goes in separate bags.
You put the wire back where it's supposed to
No, go to the other side. Oh, what are you doing? Hold up, I don't have the number
Green
now.
wire,
Wait,
separate
is
bags.
it really?
Lucky.
Conductors. Who thought of this? Just playing one day was like, bro,
Oh my
like,
god. I got no knife. Let me try something. Okay, rubber.
But how it's a bunch of stuff in bags in a bigger bag.
what is this awful?
Tampon.
Yeah.
There's stuff.
This wall one half hers and be like, child seat.
That way it keeps organized.
Copper. I mean, copper. Cork. You
So
said
there's
copper.
stuff in the bag, in the bag.
It's a copper.
I already got the rubber.
Oh,
Oh,
copper.
I forgot the battery.
Now, we better have some freaking follow fries
Oh, wait.
when I go in there.
No, it's
What's that?
Bro, what?
Wait, what's it called?
You haven't seen that movie?
Corn in
Where like, they can go on other people's dreams and like keep going into a dream,
How did you get it's in school.
It's a no.
It's a heck no.
Not this much.
All right, next is the wood.
Nah, it was probably last. It was probably last.
Oh, I still have to.
Hey, bro, that's. They be doing. They be doing that wrong, bro. You be waiting.
I was hanging around there.
I don't, first of all, I don't take it off.
I think it's
It's
a
so
Oh, I
much.
think you guys said over the weekend.
Yeah.
First come, first serve.
It's
Gotta get that
not-
while you can.
Heck no.
These savages.
Read the same book like that, man.
Okay,
Another
it's not styrofoam.
Sometimes you gotta remove these savages in this school. They don't care.
I'm like,
No, but one day, yeah, but one day,
Already.
you be like, you walk in front of them, they were like, man, get in front of
Meeting those days. I ain't
ain't nobody want to go there. Nope.
This one is.
Okay, I said that before.
It's working?
I'll say this one, boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna play. If you get in front of me, I ain't gonna.
Copper wire.
It's
Wait. Oh yeah.
We'll get there first.
It was my coffee.
It's working.
Yeah.
I feel like this is what's in the headphones to make it so.
Right. Now that's like.
What are they supposed to sing?
That was my brother when he said
Thing.
I was about to say,
You better have a drive.
you might as well. It's right there.
You're right though, what if, like, you're like right
It's fine. No.
Okay, what are we about to do after this one, dog?
Keep touching it. Oh my god, these nails.
Depends on what everybody
Let
finishes.
me see. Look, my nails over there. So let me see.
Well, it just means you get less time on lab tomorrow because we have to do the notification. Because we can't do the lab. we
No.
finish the notes.
No.
Big
No.
like
Plus,
really.
we got 10 minutes left, so.
Yeah, no, it's not, man.
Wait, what do we connect ourselves? Let's see.
No, we don't.
This is metal. This is gonna work.
We're gonna make that.
I was about to walk.
Yeah. I can make this.
Why even connect?
I was like, why is it not working?
Over there.
It's getting hot though.
You gotta bring your pack of crackers. You should bring your pack of crackers tomorrow just so that
Hey, y'all,
Oh,
remember,
it's so loud.
I'm gonna be really nice. You didn't answer question 44.
Maybe we're
back.
supposed to put it like.
Oh, wait. One of them supposed to be.
No.
Right
No.
there.
Mine's right there.
Mind your
Wow,
business.
we just
Oh,
bang
when
it
I
right
get
here.
one on,
Huh?
You didn't answer it. You just blank.
Still.
Oh, I didn't.
Right there.
Like. But yes.
What bad?
With the all conductors.
No, don't throw food across my room. Come on.
They were all metal.
What's in it for me? Oh, Grace.
But that's not. It's aluminum.
Aluminum and metal.
So
That's what she said on the note.
oh yeah, I forgot. So they
Somebody
all.
was half dead yesterday. Not dead. Half dead. I'm like,
Just shoot it.
What did all its players have in common? They were not.
Didn't I tell you not to do that?
Unless I think that's a free food.
Oh, wait. Where's this guy?
Why did the current flow through the conductors and not the current?
No, I haven't.
Because they were not
And I'm marking this just on the paper.
transferred.
I got closer to you.
Because what?
They do not transfer electricity.
How you gonna let me near stop all the county?
Right.
My yeah, these went beside it.
They're not transferred through.
For number 3.
Stop throwing that around.
Oh yeah, they do not allow electricity.
Stop throwing.
Put the food in the trash can if you don't want
I
it.
am.
They allow.
Yeah.
I
So
did.
they do allow.
They do allow.
Yeah, because conductors allow electricity to pass.
They do allow what?
Electricity to pass.
I think you said I.
After I.
Was that thingy?
Why did the light not light when the wire
She was like, it's good. It's
So
we're not
I don't want it.
Why not?
we're not connected?
Stop my nose.
Because
114.
it's not allowing electricity.
Appreciate it.
Huh?
I think my phone. You told me the time.
Even though I told you the time too.
Am I still waiting on?
Me!
You're y'all.
Yes.
That picture that you gave me.
I put it allow.
That's my blood.
It allow.
Did not allow.
Okay, we're done.
5 minutes, 7 minutes.
Oh,
6
you
minutes.
did.
Oh, we have time. Y'all need to find your notes.
Oh, come on.
Oh.
No, because we're not done yet.
Man, I'm gonna throw up.
5 minutes.
Then go to the night by Grace. She's already sick.
Ew. Why you out be like that?
Ew, 6 people.
Yeah, look away.
What you see?
Nobody asked you to look over here.
I was gonna actually ask you a question.
What?
What did y'all do with Jessica? So
I wasn't here, I was sick.
You better be your ass.
They said, I was told that they took a benchmark though.
Oh, I forgot
Oh.
like. I forgot you like.
you are not useful.
Let me see if it turns on me.
Who got Mr. Duke's class? Oh, yeah.
Who says mystery dudes? Who says?
Oh, yeah.
Right, it's
Mr.
Duke.
Duke.
It's Duke out here.
Some people don't know who Duke is.
Right, you say you don't know who's talking to him.
You know who Duke is?
Put it on them.
I'll tell you. You know who Duke is?
Put your other. She's gonna see.
Nice. It's nice.
Duke. You don't know who Duke is? Who's Duke?
Who's
See, you know Mr. Duke?
What are you talking about, bro?
Here, yeah. Never mind. Get that. Right. Yeah, then time. Take it up. Never mind.
I told you it was him, but he said no, it was not him.
That smell like hand sanitizer. You know what I like? I thought you said hand sanitizer.
I'm minding my business. So you should be doing.
All right, now you're back to 89. Happy.
Yeah, that's
So,
decent.
I'm about to get
back there.
I'm about to get mad.
I have no idea.
Don't touch.
What's my favorite? What is my favorite?
You gonna let her know it's supposed to be
82. If you make up that stupid task on power working simple machines, it would go up
It's my
more.
vlog.
Oh, I didn't know your name.
Let's take it right now.
I'm gonna take it during lunch. 30. I bet
It's
you
my
if you don't
vlog.
get these in.
Where did my pencil go?
As you can see, we got a retarded ass person in this class.
Decide if you want to get.
Hella
Oh,
food.
hey, in here for the quarter.
So slow.
Who is you?
You.
You gonna stay after school, which is why it has a zero.
What's the point of staying out of school?
Who are you? Why are you watching me?
Maybe she doesn't like
Maybe.
sitting here.
I don't with this record.
You can't be bored watching that science. Like,
I'm definitely watching this video, but
it's not on. If we get wait, it's on. Then it's gonna be a video. Well, this is my vlog. I hope she don't cut this out. Oh, you should check on YouTube, see if it's live.
Something we didn't know about.
no.
It's live.
You should check on YouTube.
No, they should even get her. You know, third one, we want to let them leave. Cafeteria. You know, since y'all are on lockdown.
So you gonna be loud? You gonna be loud either?
You
do?
have A this quarter.
This one? Oh, this one?
Make up your test. But if you don't want to,
Mind your business.
I got no problems with the average, but I'm just thinking you might want an A. Instead of keeping it
My
simple.
vlog.
Yeah.
Say what's up. Don't cut that out. Leave that in there. Don't cut that out.
Let me get the video.